Test. Okay. And the ads are now finally out of the way. Let us get started properly, everyone. I hope everyone is having an amazing day. Fuck the ads. Am I right? Alright. That will fortunately be it for the writing stream segment for ads. I tend to end stream after about an hour, and then if I'm going to be doing more writing, I'll start another one. What that does is it allows me to post the VODs over on YouTube with less editing requirements. I will eventually, if I build up enough metaphorical spoons, if you know the reference, you know the reference, um, and habit momentum, get around to chaptering and highlighting those videos, but for now, just to show that the channel isn't completely dead, whenever I do a writing stream, I try to cut it off at an hour, send it over to YouTube, post up. The loyal people on YouTube who actually keep watching, thank you so much. I don't have hand tracking, but I'm clasping my hands and thanks. I am surprised that the subscriber count has not dropped more, if I'm being honest. It really is pretty much a dead channel. And I do apologize. I really do. But I'm just a hobbyist. I get to it when I can. That's about it. I can't keep making apologies on it because I have too much other stuff. And not enough energy to do it. But I am back. For now, anyway. We will see how it goes. And a bit of a heads up. I'm going to do this before I get into the writing. I am an avid fan of Warhammer 40k, but they are pretty protective of their IP, even on stuff that should be okay with parody law. So I thought about writing a parody Rogue Trader story, and then I decided I would just be too worried. I don't want to go down the route of if the Emperor had text to speech and that whole debacle. So I've decided, I don't know what direction I want to take Tales of the Ambassador. I don't. Every time I face it down, I'm just not. I have too many ideas, and I haven't settled on any. A lot of them feel in conflict. I don't have a concrete feel of plot for that story, and I think that keeps holding me back. And I walk into a quagmire, so to speak, whenever I work on Tales of the Ambassador. Do I want to go back to it eventually? Do I want to give it a proper go? Yeah, I think there's good stuff in it. But I have been itching like so bad to write a fantasy. But it's kind of been in clash with the community I built up under sci-fi, so I'm going to do both. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to go the route of Warhammer 40k-ish, where it's a sci-fi fantasy, and I'm going to kind of write it with the mentality, so to speak, of removing the kind of stuff that I don't particularly care for. I am not a true-blooded Warhammer fan in the sense that I go all in on the grim darkness. I think grim stories are really cool. I love them. I love them a lot. It's why I'm super into Warhammer 40k. But there's a lot in Warhammer 40k that's more grim dirt, grim dumb, than grim dark. And I take umbrage with that. And I feel like if you're gonna write a fantasy style, hold the line against hell, sci-fi fantasy dystopia, that's where the people are continuing, and this society, this horrible society, has lasted for thousands and thousands of years, I think you can write a bit better. So, in this story, I'm going to have a few key points to myself. Grim, gray dystopia of the far I don't think There Is Only War is copyrighted, so that'll be my homage. Alright. I believe it is Control-Alt-2. Yeah. Turn it white. Turn it Merryweather. Key points for myself. Okay. And this is a 2, so let's make these 3s. No, Control Z. I just want to make them a bullet point. No, that's why I was doing 3s. That's right. Control 3. Have to change it to Merryweather every time, which is so dumb. Okay. Bring everything up to 16 so that the reader can see it. Lots. This is gonna get annoying for me. But I am using a free text editor for writing, so I cannot complain. Alright. Well, this should actually be theme, not plot, what I'm about to write. So I'll shift this over to theme. The draw of this grim story is the resilience, valor, and camaraderie of souls within. Abby, of course, is the focal. But why is this wrong? There we go. Also, why is that turned on? That should be off. There we go. I turn off my viewer count. I don't need that weighing on my head anymore. I just want to make good content for whoever shows up. Obviously, every content creator hopes for an active chat, but most importantly is just making good content. All right. Remember to turn my phone to mute. Hang on. That's a bit loud for me, so I'm gonna... But now it's not picking up for what? Um, and there. I think the filters are doing it, and that should be working now. I see the... Yeah, okay, good. Apologies for the scuff, everyone. Alright. Realities. Universe. Are based differently. Each overcome emotions is the self. Okay. This should go back to Control 3 for a... that's set for normal text. First off, let's bring that down. That down. I'm going to copy paste this so I don't have to keep redoing all of this stuff each time. Lots. Lots of name to be decided is... Well, let's think about this, because we're going to be using tropes. We're going to be taking inspiration from a couple of different sources. What I've been toying around with my head is I intend to keep... I'm going to use magic to compensate for the issues in a sci-fi story, right? In sci-fi stories, generally, there's kind of like quantum stuff or warp or other things. They're kind of used as what I feel is a little bit of a cop-out. I thoroughly get why after working on a sci-fi though, because I wanted to create a sci-fi story that felt realistic, and what I'm probably gonna wind up doing when I get back to Tales of the Ambassador is just face the reality of faster than light travel not really being all that tenable. And I don't think that's gonna make for a horrible story. I think it's gonna have some really nice unique states for it to be this non-FTL based story, right? Like you got, well, no, that was a tangent idea. Now that I remember, because it was going to be the arc aspect of it without FTL, and it winds up in alien space. It was going to be Tales of the Ambassador, but the Ambassador was going to be like human. It was like a whole restructuring of the story. That's what I mean. I have some I even get mixed up with the different like premises I'm thinking of to try to do Tales of the Ambassador. So I really want to make a concrete plot this time and like lock in what I'm doing. Maybe, you know, do it right for a change. So yeah. Plot. I'll leave blank for now, but I am not touching a part of this story without doing its establishment. Okay. Excuse me. And we're going to be doing Merryweather. Back to 16. So we have world building, and first there's going to be science. Okay. Magic. Society. Let's see. Species. I should probably have that in reverse order, actually. Society. Okay, well, science, magic, society, species. What? What? There we go. Science, magic, species, society. Military. It will be something like a war story after all. And then main characters. Also heading for, okay. Reverse structure. And then I'm gonna make all of these heading 5s. Merryweather 16 white. So they go underneath. Okay. Because each faction's going to be having their own of those, so that will be important. I'll approach it anyway. Anyway, universe structure. Grab some of this. Okay. Whoops. Is way. Our story takes place in the Milky Way. No, I'm not really sure the music is helping. Me, anyway. I'm gonna try seeing how I write without the music for a bit. And we're gonna see how that goes. To make sure this isn't just a dead quiet stream, however, I will be talking as I write, of course. Story takes place in the Milky Way. Actually, before I get further in there, many species have their own creation story. A explanation in times primal to answer the question of their origins, to explain the sense of soul and self in the midst of the great uncaring universe. A commonality is that creation has some form of will. A will incomprehensible, perhaps, but a will regardless. This commonality is perhaps an instinctual memory. A biological, instinct of the soul that ties us back to the origin of creation. What? Why is that wrong again? Oh well. Let's see. Let's do this. Why is... I'll deal with that later. The truth, or at least the truth as we understand it in the modern age, it is that we and all living beings have fragments of creation or souls. These fragments were broken off of what one might call, or perhaps the universe. But even as infinitesimal fragments, motes of dust amidst the stars. They retain their power of creation, the means to impose their will upon reality and connect with the realm beyond the shade. Okay. Let's see. Bit more water. Surround a bit. Apologies for the slight delay, chat. That's a bit better. The peoples of the universe, friend and foe alike, have learned to use the gifted among them to tear their way through the laws of creation, the laws of the universe around us. Through this, we cast aside the chains of distance, of light and reality. The galaxy Milky Way became ours for the taking, or at least so we thought. First thought. You can tell I've been typing online too much when I do through as THRU. Oh my word. Okay. Our horror, to our horror, we found the consequence of our arrogance. We were on many fronts not alone. By tearing into the realm beyond and twisting reality to our whim, we invited the embodiments of souls untethered out into the realm. Into reality. These daemons as we eventually found out, were not capable of existing against the will of the universe for long. They were without form to anchor them, would, without a host, return to the ethereal in moments upon our re-entry of real space. However, if their will proved capable, they could subsume the soul of a living and take possession of their physical anchor. These possessed were as strong as any of our mages, and decidedly difficult to neutralize. Okay, let's do some corrections. All right. Chat is still quiet. Unfortunate. But I shall continue regardless. To anyone who is listening, as I do not see the view count, I will be doing coding streams after this if you are interested. So, when I go dark, do not leave. I will be right back. Okay. It was not only the demons. Rylus! Hello, hello. Hydrate coming right up. Thank you for the water. How are you doing, Rylus? Stretch? Posture check. Thank you for the health check. At some point, I will be updating my redemptions. I intend to add, for one, first, second, and third places with a one-time redemption per stream, as well as a combined thing of a health check if I have not already done that in the past, and to just generally go over all of the dusty cobwebs of my channel and try to turn it into something resembling a proper channel. I did finally find a mount to work well with my tracking, and I fixed the tracking yesterday. I do not have my eyes closed all the fucking time. It's wonderful, isn't it? You know, it only took years and me switching over to PNG tubers to avoid it. Man. I'm definitely something fucking special. Uh hazardous. Not all crews were lucky enough to win time, humanity faced existential peril. The souls untethered were infinite. The scraps and tormented of universes unknown, all collected in one great filament between. They most of them it would be wrong to call their kind united, but mutual gain led the wiser and more sane of them to find ways to spread their corruption and claim upon our reality. In time, our golden age turned sour. As humanity fought for our right. For? I wrote out for FOUR. Oh, I'm such a dumbass. To exist. Then it revealed. Let's see. Do. By the guided by the hand of our new gods. Okay, I'm going to turn on my space heater because my room is getting very cold. I'll be right back. Okay. Unfortunately, it does not have a temperature gauge. So my room eventually becomes way too hot, and then I turn it off, and then my room becomes eventually way too cold. You know, as you do. All right. So, a bit of a combination here is some ideas like brain lore from Super Earth, because I may or may not be really into Helldivers too. And of course, my love of Warhammer 40k. Uh, I should probably get into Dune at some point. I hear Warhammer 40k took a lot of inspiration from Dune, but this story is also going to be having a God Emperor. And the idea is that humanity lives in a dystopia, but people are, and here's where it takes a lot of inspiration from Helldivers too. People are pretty chill with it. Like, you know how Warhammer 40k, it's all like, oh, it's so miserable living in the Imperium raw. I'm like, that doesn't really feel sustainable, and I get that it's supposed to be grim dark and everyone's miserable and that there are rebellions all the time. But I'm like, I don't know, like when you make everything punishable by death, you start to get people just doing shit like this. Oh, I'm late. Shit. Well, being late's an executable offense, and rebelling against the Empire is an executable offense. I might as well just go full send now. Fun fact, that was apparently, as far as I've read, an actual historical example where I don't know if it was China. I think it was China. One of the dynasties had a general who was bringing a lot of prisoners for execution, and Rain forced him to be late. And being late to the emperor was an executable offense. And, well, obviously, rebelling against the emperor was also an executable offense. So he released all of the prisoners, led an uprising, and eventually overthrew the government. Hoorah. So I always find my immersion slightly broken in Warhammer 40k because, like, I get that it's steeled in by the fanatical faith of the emperor, and religion can do a lot, like a lot, for people putting up with horrible conditions. But it's just a little immersion breaking for me. So I looked at Super Earth, and they go the fanaticism route, right? And they have some issues too. Because they'll be like, oh, the 20-hour mandated work week, but there's no lore or evidence to support people on why they're able to sustain that. Like, clearly people have been effectively brainwashed, right? And the Helldivers are super zealous and etc. But there's just like these missing little hints on like how we got there, how people manage it. And in this story, I intend to patch those immersion issues on both fronts in my own little head universe. Where how do people work incredibly long hours that you would see in Warhammer 40k and Helldivers 2 universe with the Super Earth? Well, everyone, and I do mean everyone, is on a symbiotic drug that just overhauls your body and has a flat like dependency. Like you can't not like you will be bothered significantly without it. Like you won't hurt yourself, like you won't, it's designed not to have like, you know, what we would see with horrible withdrawals, like you're not going to lose your teeth, you're not going to get your skin itchiness or other aspects of it. No, it strengthens your body. But because you become mentally adapted to this, you know, physically heightened state, it feels like the depths of despair when you're out of it. You just kind of go back to normal when you run off, when the drug wears off. And that's agony after you've had like You feel more comfortable. You feel everything tastes better. You have more energy. You have more clarity. Your productivity is better. Everything feels more satisfying. But it's not an uncontrollable high like, say, ecstasy or PCP. It's just an even keel wonder drug that lets you feel your best. You learn faster, you do faster, you are faster, you lift more, you gain less, you taste better. Life is just brilliant and bright and wondrous, and you feel not the urge to be productive. And that's the currency of the society. The currency is in principle meant to serve a purpose of a universal resource. The foundation of currency is the idea that an economy functions better when you don't have to barter individual items, but can rather use a universal resource that everyone trusts as a medium, and it's a standard. That's why currencies are so powerful. The problem with currencies in general day is because what they're based on is stuff that was the earlier version of universal resources, rare minerals. And printing more will eventually level it back out as a representative, but you get things like inflation, you get things like credit, which is a different, very beneficial medium to help incentivize businesses and other aspects of it. But it all becomes a little bit convoluted because there's less of an acting agent against you know, having too much of the currency, but a consumed currency, or a currency that degrades, a universal resource that degrades and is designed to make more of, is actually a very intriguing thought. Hello, Justin Norris. Thank you for the bonk. Welcome in, and it is so good to see you. And I'm gonna be real. I fucking love what Warhammer 40k did with the concept of the orcs, where their currency is teeth. People make a jokes about it all the time. It's like, haha, orc teeth, and it's so sustainable because their teeth regrow so that, Fallout regrow like a shark, so that degrades over time as well. So they have this constant, eternal, degrading but produced currency, so that everyone that's rich has to maintain the effort to stay rich. It can't be like inherited, and everyone down from the lowest one gets more currency over time, so no one can be too destitute in orc culture. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually fucking brilliant. Like, that's an amazing, and it makes sense, right? Because orcs are a manufactured species. They're not naturally evolved. So they have this like perfect currency that fits them so well. It's like, oh, you broke, just wait till more teeth grow in and we'll get knocked out. Or go smash a bastard and get his teeth. You're an orc. Fighting's what you live for. It's so perfect. And in the grim, dark universes, the theme is dystopian. The theme, generally speaking, is either dystopian or like horror existential crisis. And it just felt like an obvious thing to me, where if you're making a dystopian universe, do it right. Have a resource that is self-sustaining. Go dark. Make everyone dependent upon it. Make them all consuming it. Make them actually be happy to be tied to this universal resource that keeps them chained to the rat race. Get dark with it. Embrace the dystopia. So yeah, no, like the currency in the human empire is basically drugs. that makes everyone's lives better, but they'll be fucking miserable without. So everyone works 110% to get their drugs, which are their pay, and the government makes the drugs. So the government's always in control. Yeah, it's dark, but it makes sense. I am doing well, Justin. And throw in a God Emperor on top of that, like, cherry on top, right? Like, we're just adding to the mix here. I'm going to use one of my three snoozes. I'll snooze this one. But, yeah. Like, what do you think about that, Justin? I'm assuming you've been here for the rant, more or less. But yeah, that's kind of the basis. Generally speaking. Then with development, dedication, effort. Right? Yeah, yeah. No, that's always the kind of thing. Like, we all get that it's fiction, and grim stories are fun as like a distraction, because like it's not the place you'd want to live in. Nobody wants to live in Warhammer 40k, but many of us at least love reading it. But like, why not go the extra mile? Why not make it feel self-sustainable? Add a sense of horror and goosebumps to it. Add a sense of, oh shit, that could actually happen. Right. Exactly. Effort. A person could only develop their soul to a certain degree, usually around 3 to 5 times their born capacity. However, the God Emperor in our time of greatest need rose up and faced the demons with the presence and power of a souls. That level of magic, that level of creation should have torn the body apart. It should have in its clash the will of the universe. Either destroy itself or have to constantly maintain its own presence by will. Can you imagine any human understanding their physical composition down to the last strain of DNA and maintaining truly the emperor of mankind is divine? Okay, hang on. Do. I did think of a bad example of currency in a dystopia series, bottle caps and foul. In the original game, it made sense since it was only used since one group had control over the area. But in later games, they still use bottle caps, despite later games taking place on the opposite sides of the country and multiple groups having control. Yeah, I never understood the bottle caps, frankly. Like, I thought it was just kind of an in-universe ribbing. Like, oh, the world's gone to shit. We're just gonna use this fucking thing as currency. Why not? You know, like it's not like we have a ton of gold coins or whatever. We'll just use fucking bottle caps. Why not? Ha 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 ha. It's a game. Don't think about it too hard. um I never got too far into the Fallout series to know why it was that way, so I just assumed it was don't think too hard. It's a video game. But it always rubbed me a little bit wrong. I'm like, why is this a universal resource? What are people be like? What can people do with bottle caps, right? Like, there are places that can manufacture some stuff. Like, you could make more bottle caps. It just didn't make sense. But I mean, it was a video game, so it didn't need to. It worked. But yeah. I was a little confused. But yeah, I'm not sure. Like, this is of course a first draft. Man, I wish I had arm tracking so it could show my arms moving. Um, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be it where it's like a much closer tie to Warhammer 40k, where oh, demon shit hit the wall, Emperor rose up. Um, I'm doing that now because it's in my head. What I might do later when I come back revisit this on my next stream is I might change it. I might have it so that really before the grand expansion, the Emperor showed up because humanity wasn't really prepared for the technology and magic they were dealing with. The stakes started getting too high, and they weren't really able to operate disjointed as they were. They were risking their own annihilation. And on top of risking their own annihilation, they were going down the path of the dark age of technology. Um, Artificial intelligence was getting a little too scary. So that's when, quote unquote, the Emperor shows up in the picture. The Emperor's origins are pretty close, in my mind, to the origins of the Emperor Warhammer 40k. I don't think they have copyright on it. I don't think you can. It just makes too much sense as an origin story of soul merging. Um, I am going to try to be fair and like do a twist on mine so it's not exactly the same because I don't want to feel like I'm ripping off Warhammer 40k. I want to feel like it's a homage. Um, but yeah, so I want the Emperor's origins to be like I have a couple of mindsets in route. One, way, way, way back in like the medieval time point, a cabal of mages were all seeking immortality. and they were working together. Um, yes, yeah, for sure. Um, and this cabal seeking immortality, working together, understood that if you could unify your image, you could create a stronger effect. You could group cast, so to speak. And they eventually got like their whole magic university, so to speak, on board with this secret attempt of immortality. Um, and what they did was they succeeded, but not really in the way they wanted, so to speak. They were experimenting with group casting on a spell grander than they understood. And the only real commonality they had was true immortality. For all of them in one spell. And the way magic system in this universe works is you're using your will to superimpose against the will of creation. If there is vagueness, it falls something into a bit of a wild magic where it becomes sort of a monkey's paw. Your will happen if you have the sufficient means to overwrite the will of creation, if you're able to outpower the will of the universe. But how it happens, if you're not able to properly define it, is sort of left to fate, so to speak. And, well, it worked. They all got immortality as a single individual with the souls of the entire university of prodigious mages in one being. They all got immortality, technically. Takes them a while to kind of get their head together. Kind of considered a historical moment of horror and destruction because they were a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, being a conjointed mess of souls. But hey, they all got immortality. And that's one origin of the Emperor that I'm thinking of doing. And I think that's a decent one. And it does feel distinctly different from the origin of the God Emperor of Mankind from Warhammer 40k, where a bunch of shamans did a ritual sacrifice to create a soul. It's a clear homage. You can tell where the inspiration came from, but it is not the same, I would say. Self-sacrificing shamans for the good of humanity and a group of prodigious mages all just wanting immortality, very different thematical implications. And I think it suits it better because the Emperor of Mankind is supposed to be this benevolent figure that wanted, as this being made from sacrificing of wise shamans, just the benefit of mankind, just the best for humankind. The Emperor of Mankind, so to speak, the God Emperor in this universe, is a tyrant and owns that tyrantness. It's a combination of wise individuals, yes. And they do want people to be happy, but their being is rooted in greed and self-preservation. They have no interest in pretending of doing the right thing purely for the right thing. They're going to do what they think is the best thing. They want humanity to survive for their own benefit. But yeah. I think that makes for a more interesting story because it doesn't create the why is the Emperor such an asshole when he's supposed to be a noble figure issue for the grim dark setting of Warhammer 40k, because instead the God Emperor is an asshole because he's human, because he's working for his self-interest, and because he's smart. He's doing it in a way that, kind of like the Emperor Karl Franz, will generally benefit everyone. They'll all abide by it of their own free will, but it's by no means utopian. It's very self-serving and dystopian. It's grim gray. It's ambiguous. I am probably going to wrap it up here as the ad starts. And as the ad starts, I'm going to like close down this one, which will end the writing. I'll import it off to YouTube, make the mod. And I will be right back with a coding stream. But what do you think, Justin? The ads are about to start, but I can read your feedback in the chat. And Rylus, if you're still here, what do you think? Nice. All right. While the ads are going on, everyone, thank you so very much for tuning in. I will be live again momentarily. Thank you all. I'll see you on the other side.